Hey, what's up, you guys? Welcome back to another episode of... I got sick with the coronavirus over the holidays, so I watched every single Harry Potter movie back to back for no reason in particular besides my own enjoyment, and now I'm here to talk about it. For those of you who may not know, I have sort of a strange relationship with the Harry Potter series, which I want to preface before we get into my official ranking. First of all, I had read the books when I was around 10 years old, and obviously, like most 10-year-olds, I had the best freaking time. Whenever I would finish one of the books, I would immediately go and watch the film adaptation of that book. But since that point, I have not revisited the Harry Potter series like at all. I've never reread all of the books because most of the time whenever I would go to reread the books or plan to reread the series, I'd start with book one. Whenever we got to Goblet of Fire, when the books got a little bit longer, I just could never freaking finish them. And so even though I've considered myself a really big fan of this series, I've not revisited most of the books since I was 10 years old in 2010. So because of all of this, I was at home, sick out of my mind, having like fever dreams, and I was like, you know what? Why don't I just buy HBO Max and then just like make a cocoon for myself and watch all these freaking movies? Since I had nothing better to do, I turned on the first movie, and every single day, for the rest of my sickness, for the rest of my time being at home, I watched a Harry Potter film, took various notes, which brings us to the first issue that I want to talk about before we get any further into this video, which is the turf in the room, which is the author of the series, Miss J.K. Rowling. Beard hair. I'm breathing in the beard hair, and it is not good. If you do not know, for the most part, J.K. Rowling has made it very clear that she does not like trans people and does not accept trans people. Miss J.K. Rowling said, you know what, I don't like these trans people. When I was seeing all of J.K. Rowling's problematic things over the last year or two, honestly, it really ruined my vision of Harry Potter, and I didn't think that I would ever be able to watch or enjoy the films and the books the way that I had when I was younger. I hung up my wand and took my beard off from the series forever, okay? And the more I thought about it, the more I realized that it's okay to still enjoy the Harry Potter series. I feel like so many people put their hard work creating these films, directing these films, and making these sets come to life. I just wanted you all to know that I support trans people, I do not support J.K. Rowling, and I'm just so tired, y'all. I just don't know. But anyways, I'm gonna put my beard back on because I felt like it might be inappropriate to talk about transphobia with it on. Now that the turf has been expelliarmused out of our hearts, I think we should begin. Why isn't my... Oh no, my wand isn't working anymore. Expecto patrobub. This isn't gonna be in chronological order because I don't really care about that, and I feel like we all know the plots anyways. So we're gonna move from the worst movie and slowly get better until we talk about my favorite. So let's do that now. What is one of the spells that they say? I feel like I forget them. Is it Accio that like brings the things to you? Accio, shitty movie. In my opinion, the worst Harry Potter movie by far. I don't know why, but I feel like nobody is gonna agree with me on this, and I think it's because when I had made my official ranking, I went online to see other people's rankings, and for the most part, Goblet of Fire was always ranked very high, which means that I'm like the only one who like absolutely hated this movie and like could not sit through it.
Harry Potter. Harry Potter!
This movie sees the introduction of tons of characters, all of which are relevant either going forward or just in this movie. We see the introduction of Cedric and his father, Barty Crouch and Barty Crouch Jr., Cho Chang, which is racist. We see Fleur, Victor Crumb. Did I talk about Cedric? I don't freaking remember. This movie does that thing that a lot of like really bad movies do, which is instead of actually introducing us to these characters or letting us get to know them, they will just show them. And then like we just see them. So we know they're important because like we saw him sitting multiple times. I would say two of my favorite characters are Hermione and Dumbledore, and both of these characters are done very dirty by the directing and the writing here. For example, Hermione is the type of character that is very smart and knows a lot. I would say throughout the series, she is the one who changes the most movie by movie, and I don't know if that's necessarily because they're showing her change, or if the writers are just not good at understanding the character. In this movie, she's just like a bitch. Instead of being like lighthearted and fun and smart, she just like is carrying a book because she's smart. There's many scenes where she's reading and like rolling her eyes at people or seeming annoyed by the side characters. I know that this film is very tense. I'd say more tense than the three that came before it. It doesn't feel like she's being this way as a result of the stress, rather just she's a bitch. And it's the same for Dumbledore, who in my opinion has always been a character who was supposed to be very low-key and very subdued throughout the early books. So what we know him as is just this gentle man who's just chill. He's a little bit quirky. He's wearing like nightgowns and talks in a fun, endearing voice. However, in this movie, the sort of soft-spoken, fun, level-headed man, he's freaking gone. Dumbledore is just screaming at everybody. There's that meme where like Dumbledore like calmly says, "Did you put your name in the Goblet of Fire?" And then in the movie, he's like throwing him against the thing and screaming. But literally, every scene that Dumbledore is in, he's screaming.
Attention! Do you know who I am? Albus Dumbledore. Are you Alistair Moody? Are you?
And I just don't like it. I just don't like when like scary men scream, I guess. He's like, "I'ma whoop your ass." This movie was so rushed that as I was watching, I was looking for scenes that could have been cut so we could have gotten a little bit more development and a little bit more breathing room for these characters. And when I had remembered that the Yule Ball was in this movie, my first thought was, without a hesitation, they should have freaking cut that. But then I quickly changed my mind because I was like, no, you know what? This is something that I love seeing in these movies, which is our characters just be like normal kids. And so I loved seeing these characters like have the anxiety not of defeating an evil person, but rather like, I need to ask somebody to the school dance. It just felt a lot more real and a lot more fun than a lot of the other moments we'd gotten in the series. So I was really excited for that. And very quickly I was like, no, you know what? I enjoy the inclusion of the Yule Ball. It advances these characters and sort of showing them maturing, so I can get behind it. What I can't get behind is that the Yule Ball sucks. I'm not kidding. This dance goes on for like over 20 minutes. We just sit there for like so long. We see like dramatic introductions of people in their fancy outfits. We see multiple dance numbers and we hear multiple songs. Our characters have a fight while we're here because of course they do. Something I did not remember was the fact that there is like this shitty wizard punk rock band that performs and like all of our characters like dance. I swear Dumbledore like dances and it just does not feel right. This is not something I've talked about yet, but I want to talk about it here because this is the first place where it is relevant, and that is I want to tell you about my favorite location in all of Hogwarts. I think when we talk about locations, people may think about Hagrid's hut, or the Forbidden Forest, or the Grand Hall, or any of the classrooms. When I was watching this series, there was one location that, for no reason, I became absolutely obsessed with. And that location is that frickin' wooden bridge. This bridge is first introduced in the third movie, and for the most part is included in every single film. We always see a scene where our characters will stand on this bridge and have conversations with each other. A lot of times they will gaze out with their arms on it, looking out at the forest and at the castle. For some reason, on this watch along, every single time this bridge was shown, or every single time our characters talked on this bridge, I let out a collective gasp and said, "Oh, it's the bridge!" This bridge is included in most of the Harry Potter video games.
I'll cover you from here, Seamus. Keep your head down. Goodbye. there.
Some of them have levels directly involving a bridge, one in the Lego game where you have to repair the bridge. It's even featured on a Roblox game called Row Wizard, where you can sort your character into a house, explore Hogwarts, and learn spells. I went on a hunt to find the bridge, and I was trying to make friends, but this weird girl who was dressed up as the herbology professor kept murdering me for literally no reason. Why is she attacking me? Is it because I'm a Slytherin? I feel like oh my gosh, they're all coming. Why are these people so mean? You try to be their friends and they just walk right away. Oh my god. Since these people, this bitch tracked me down. I'm not even doing anything. Every time I would go to ask somebody where the bridge is, they would like kill me. Hi, do you know where the bridge is? He was like, you ain't not allowed to ask about where the bridge is. Hi, does anyone know where it's at? I think he might. Where is the wooden freaking bridge? Oh my god. These people are not very inviting, and I couldn't find it for the longest time. I went on some side quests. I accidentally became a Death Eater. This girl just said, I am better than you all. I am the Dark Lord. Ye will be my Death Eater. Oh my gosh, not me joining the Death Eaters. Wait. That's the Dark Lord right there? Oh, he just died. But eventually I met the right person and he showed me where the bridge was. Wait, is this it? And just like the characters in the Harry Potter series, I got to stand and look out into the distance and reflect on my journey here at Hogwarts. I just love the bridge, okay? And I'm tired of pretending I don't. In the Goblet of Fire, the scene we see on the bridge is a scene where Harry and Hermione are stressing about the second task. Harry just got the egg from the first task and doesn't know what to do with it. And then Cedric appears, and for the first time in the entire series, he talks to Harry and tells him he should go to the bathroom and then see what will happen with his egg. This movie is directed by Mike Newell, who, out of all of the directors, I think is the most irrelevant, and I know nothing about him, but anyway. Mike Newell, I don't think understands what fans of the Harry Potter series enjoy.
Congratulations.
Good, I'm glad you liked it.
The most ambitious Harry Potter film to date.
Well, that's true.
Were you a little freaked out?
No. He's very sweet and very cute, and suddenly in this film, of course, he isn't sweet and cute. And so he was very gay.
Once the third task is over, and once we go to the graveyard, the entire movie like comes back alive. It feels like Mike Newell put a spell on me, which was like, care about movie itis or whatever. All of a sudden, I was obsessed with this movie. This is the best movie I've ever seen. Something I did not remember about this movie is Lord Voldemort's like acrylics. When he comes back from the dead, he literally has like long like acrylics on his fingers like and even his toes. And also, I don't know if this is just me, but for the first time while watching this series, I realized that like Lord Voldemort has like awful character design. First of all, his bald, shiny head and his little slit nose. His human eyes are like very jarring and strange. They're literally just like blue, like a white man color blue eyes. Like, I could really see past the makeup, and I just saw like this man like with like acrylics on his fingers and toes. I've been filming for like an hour and I literally have like inhaled so much beard hair that I think that like I'm gonna have to go to the doctor. I give this I love the bridge, but I would jump off the bridge if I had to watch this movie again, out of 10. The thing about The Chamber of Secrets is, this movie is not bad. I think that it's very well constructed. I think that Chris Columbus is a great director for this series. However, this movie is so long, y'all. This movie does have the longest runtime in the entire series, which is not a problem necessarily, but I would say this one has the most filler, which on paper is fine. I enjoy having our scenes with the characters just having fun and being in class and a lot of the lower stakes activities, but I swear, we could have cut like 30 minutes. And I would say the biggest issue I have with this movie is the fact that during many points throughout the film, I'm just bored. I think that some of the smaller details around the mystery of the Chamber of Secrets was a bit unnecessary. There's one section where we go out into the forest and there's this evil spider there. The spider was like weird and sassy, and literally there was a point where the spider was like, "No, I'm sorry, girl. You have to die." And then like sent a bunch of like evil spiders to kill. My favorite thing about this movie is the fact that in a lot of ways it really does advance the world that we're introduced to in the first film. We get to know more of the Weasley family, we get to actually see their house and get a picture of what an average wizard family is like. We get the inclusion of Lucius Malfoy, who becomes a recurring character going forward, but also expands Draco's world a lot from the first film. I know that this is an unpopular opinion and I know that the people might bully me, but I am obsessed with Dobby. I know it's Dobby, but I say Dobby. I have since I was a kid, and I'm sorry about that. He's in like 2 or 3 of the movies. In this one, he is like exceptionally like crinkly and crispy and like he just looks really gross in this one. But going forward, he's like a lot smoother and a lot cuter. I know that it's probably just like the CGI and like the aging of the franchise that he looks better and cuter as the movies go on. But honestly, I like to imagine that like slavery was really taking a toll. But Dobby is very cute. I love him very much. And when he's like self-inflicting abuse, I don't know why, but I just like, I'm so obsessed. But besides some of those smaller details, there isn't too much else I have to say negatively about the film. However, there is one small thing I just want to mention because I've never heard anyone talk about this. I've never had anyone say an opinion about this, but I just want to put it out there. And I just want to see if anybody agrees with me or if anyone else has had similar thoughts. By far, my least favorite character in the entire Harry Potter series is Susan fucking Bones. I know what you may be thinking. Why do you hate her? She's just like a small, innocent young girl. She does nothing. She's just in the background as like a recurring background character. And that's exactly why I freaking hate her. She did nothing. That girl is in all these scenes and she is just silently staring and giving nothing to the scene. She gets like an entire scene of herself getting sorted into Hufflepuff. It's just kind of annoying to see the inclusion of this character solely because Chris Columbus wanted to put his daughter in the movie. And like, I know that like she's in the movie because like she was his daughter and she was the age of these characters in the story. And at that point he was planning on directing all 7 movies. It would be cool to see his daughter sort of grow up with these characters and see his daughter grow up on screen and for her to be included in something so special. I guess that's cute. But fuck that bitch. And here's the thing. If I went to Hogwarts, I would Avada Kedavra. We never see that girl talk, so I know she wouldn't tell anybody. I'm trying to think of anything else that I hate about this movie. I don't really know. I just feel like it's so long that I just like am eyes glazed over. That's like my only critique is like there's just a lot of boring stuff that could have been cut and I think should have been cut. This movie is so long. Oh my god. I don't care about any of this. Oh my god. I feel like the end battle is exciting. I like the like hijinks of the early movies, like when they break into the Slytherin common room. I always like that type of stuff. I know a lot of this movie is our characters getting like small bits of information from different areas and from different things leading up to the bigger mystery at the end. But honestly, in this one, I just don't care about the mystery that much. And even though I really like the way this movie is made and I think that the cast is doing a fun job here, it's still very weak as a movie. And I don't know, I just didn't care that much, so that's all I have to say about that. Before we get to our 6th place movie, I first want to thank our sponsors. Hi. Do you ever watch this channel and you think to yourself, I wish I could give him my money? Well, now you can. I have a Patreon and I've had a Patreon for almost 3 years now. I always just let the Patreon speak for itself. But here's the thing, right? Ain't nobody freaking joining the Patreon. I always thought that including like, thank you to my patrons and then having like all the names at the end of my videos would have people like be inclined to check out the page. But I realize now that I don't think that anyone gets that far into my videos. So if you want to support the channel or you just want more content, you should check it out. It's down below. I'd really appreciate all of your money and all of your watch time. I'm trying to think of like a funny like commercial pun to say in this, but I don't know what to say. Give me your money today. It's magic. I love when my viewers give me their hard-earned money for literally no reason. You've already watched the 100 ads I placed on this video, and now you're gonna willingly give me more. Accio money. Anyways, let's get back to our regular scheduled program. Thank you, Myself, for sponsoring this video. We appreciate all your hard work. I love you. Alright, moving on. I have to be honest with you, I was devastated that this movie ranked so low because for so many years I have said that The Deathly Hallows Part 1 is better than Part 2 and is my first or second favorite movie in the entire franchise. Upon rewatching this movie for this video, I have come to the unfortunate conclusion that this movie is freaking shit, y'all. And I'm really sad. The complaint that most people make about this movie is the fact that it's so boring and we spend the entire thing camping and our characters are just fighting and doing nothing, and it's just a very underwhelming start to the finale. I've always disagreed. I always thought that it was very fun. I liked seeing our characters interact with each other, and it was sort of a slow burn to our grand finale. All those people that I said were wrong for so many years were actually right because it was very boring and I hated all the camping scenes. This movie starts out with our trio looming out over their like houses and all these locations we've grown to love. We see Hermione erase her parents' memory. Harry goes back to the cupboard under the stairs, which we have not seen since that first movie. I feel like everyone talks about Hedwig dying, but literally in the script they're like, Mad-Eye Moody died. And I like for a second was like, wait, that's fake, right? I don't remember him dying. And then I like Googled it and he like did die, like at the start. And I was like, I never knew that. I knew this movie was gonna do me in because right off the start, Lord Voldemort was back and we saw his acrylics, y'all. I feel like at this point we had not seen him for a few movies, so when he was finally on screen and he was showing his whole hands, I like was so excited by those acrylics, y'all. Y'all really don't even know it. I don't think we got a good shot of his feet in this movie. I was looking for them, but I don't know if his toenail acrylics are still there. I assume so. But if he was gonna wear shoes, I don't know how he would do that with his long toenails. Maybe he was barefoot. I'm not sure. Maybe he cut them. Anyway, this movie starts very, very epic with a lot of drama and a lot of high stakes. Once we exit the scene in the ministry, when our characters use the polyjuice potion to do whatever they were doing in that scene, I don't know why I don't remember. Were they like getting a Horcrux at that point? Or like finding something? What were they doing? Why did we go there? Once that was over, for whatever reason we were there for, we had so much momentum and I would say some of the best content we've ever seen in the Harry Potter movies. And then after all of that, we go camping. And for years, people have shit on these camping scenes and said they were boring, but I was like, no. I love seeing our characters just have chill moments where they talk and have shared experiences. They camp for like 20 minutes, they'll destroy the Horcrux, and then we'll move on to the end with the Malfoy Manor, which makes up like the last 40 minutes of the movie. So tell me why. We spent like 40 minutes camping and then like 10 minutes at the Malfoy Manor. Because I remember it being the other way around. There were a few moments during the camping scenes that I liked. There was like a high stakes moment where that like weird punk rock Death Eater guy comes and he like can smell Hermione through the force, which I thought was weird. And it was like kind of high stakes because it's like, oh, he's like scary looking and he's like a man. And then like they end up just turning around and leaving. I liked when Harry and Hermione danced. I thought that was really cute and it was a sweet sort of send-off and development for those two characters. However, this movie has the same issue that The Goblet of Fire has, which is a lot of fighting for like no reason, and it's just not exciting to see. It's just kind of like annoying. You're telling me this is our big Harry Potter destroys all the Horcruxes movie and he only destroys one? I don't really care that much. It was just kind of weird. I understood that's just how the book went, and so the movie sort of had to follow suit. I just wish they would have made some changes to the source material to make it a little bit more exciting, even if it was just switching around some of the ordering of the events or shortening the boring stuff. When I was a kid, Dobie was my favorite character, and I don't think he is anymore, but I would say for the most part, I still was like loving him, and every time he showed up on the screen, I was very excited. But when this character saves our trio and all those people that were there, and then he gets stabbed with that knife, I want to be honest, when you say it, like every single time I see it, I do tear up. I remember being like 10 or 11 years old whenever that movie came out, and literally I cried. Like I cried. I don't know why. I was so sad. He was so cute. That little slave was just so adorable. Something that I think is really interesting about this movie, and something that I noticed in this movie in particular, is the fact that Emma Watson is doing a really good job. I've seen a lot of her post Harry Potter work, and for the most part, it's pretty weak. But I realized that she's doing great work here. I'd say around the third movie, she starts to get her footing, but then she's cursed by really bad directors and really bad scripts that don't understand the character. Despite the fact that in those movies, the character is not well written, she still does the best with what she's given, so I feel like because of that, she can't really stand out. However, in these last couple of films, she's like the standout character, where whenever she's talking or whenever they're bantering, I'm most leaning into her performance of Hermione as opposed to the other characters. I feel like this is her movie where she's guiding a lot of the characters. She's using her own knowledge to sort of step forward with the Horcruxes and with the Deathly Hallows. I just enjoyed all of that. I really did. I thought that was well done. I like her character and I really liked her performance. But besides all the boringness and all of the underwhelming stuff, I was very upset that I put this as low as I did. I wish that this could be like number 1 and I could have like a hot take as my number 1. But I guess I'm pretty basic. I don't even know what other people's lists are or like how they feel about the other movies. And I know that a lot of people put this pretty low. So I was really sad to put this low. I wanted to put it higher. I've always called The Order of the Phoenix like the Gaslight movie, because like all the gaslighting that happens in it. This movie is very sad. This movie is very dark, which I like as a viewer. I always love when our characters are sad. I love when the trauma has caught up to us and we're like really going through it. What I don't like is when I'm like annoyed. I was annoyed through a lot of this movie.
Who said you're your boyfriend?
And so he was very gay.
Dolores is camp, y'all. This character is so well done because she is on paper the least threatening person ever. The way that she's played and the way that she's written makes her one of the scariest characters ever, because she has like nothing to lose and she has like all the power in the world and she can just get what she wants based on all of that. She's just very intense, and I feel like she's not the type of villain that we've ever seen in a Harry Potter film, but like any film ever at all. So that's cool. Throughout the series, the score is pretty low-key. A lot of it's the same sort of riffs and the same sort of songs. Whereas in this one, I don't know what happened, but all these moments are heightened by like very sad and very beautiful scoring.
Yo, yo, yo! Ah!
There are some moments where in theory, like nothing exciting is happening, nothing emotional is happening, but I literally just want to cry. Something else I was a big fan of was the Room of Requirement scenes and the Dumbledore's Army scenes. Harry had a lot of growth in leading his peers, and so it created for some very special scenes, seeing this character who up until this point we've seen grow and we've seen learn these things, and now to teach his peers those things, it felt very rewarding, and I liked seeing him in that role. And I also thought that these scenes were edited together very, very well. I felt like some of the pacing was really bad or really slow at some points, or way too fast at other points, but during these scenes I felt like I was actually engaged. The montages were entertaining. It didn't feel too annoying or in the way of other storylines. I feel like at this point it's no secret that a lot of my favorite scenes are scenes where our characters just talk with each other, banter with each other, and this movie lacks a lot of that. However, there is one scene where it's after Harry and Cho Chang, who is a racist character, after they kiss for the first time, it's just our characters sitting in the common room room talking together and laughing together. And I feel like I read at some point that this is just the characters like actually breaking character and laughing and talking. But literally, this is one of my favorite scenes in the entire movie. For the first time in what feels like 2 or 3 movies, these characters are actually talking and having fun and being friends, which I missed so much. In this movie, we have a scene on the bridge where our characters are sad and stressed until Hagrid like emerges from nowhere and summons them for a task he has. It is very foggy in this scene and the bridge looks absolutely amazing. I can guarantee that during this scene I went, oh, it's the bridge! I just love that bridge so much. And then at the end of the film, when our characters are about to go to the Ministry, which is a really pretty set by the way, but when our characters are about to leave for the final battle, they meet up on the bridge and talk on the bridge, and I just love that bridge. However, in this movie, it looks very CGI and very fake, as opposed to the other movies where it looks very natural and very realistic. Whereas here, like, I can see the outlines of the green screen on everybody, and it was a little bit upsetting. I mentioned earlier that I have a big issue with pacing in this movie, and it's primarily shown in scenes where something happens very quickly and you don't understand what it means. A good example of this is when Arthur Weasley is attacked by like a snake in the Ministry. It's like a dream that Harry has, and then we have a scene where he like tells his professors, and then we don't really hear much about it until later on we see Arthur Weasley and he's been attacked, and we never talk about like why that happened or the implications of that. It just happens. Also, something that I don't remember happening is how quickly Sirius's death happens. I swear we're all just fighting and it's like going well, and then all of a sudden like Bellatrix yells the death curse and then he like dies. We never see or hear about it again. It's just weird to see a character be built up over 2 or 3 movies as like a recurring father character for Harry, just for him to like very quickly die within 5 seconds with no word about anything. It almost felt fake because it happened so fast. I remember being a kid and thinking that he was gonna like come back to life, or like that mirror like absorbed his soul and we'd go find him, and then like it was just never as mentioned again in the entire series. Maybe they were trying to do a thing where it's like they're in battle and sometimes death happens so quickly that you don't even process it, but like as a viewer I was like, wait, is he dead? Did he really just die? So it was pretty bad because of that, because I've literally seen this movie like 2 or 3 times and read the book, and I know that he's dead, and I literally was like, was he dead? Did he just die? So minus points for that. Voldemort's acrylics are back, everybody! This was the first movie after The Goblet of Fire, so I was really nervous that they were gonna have changed the character design for the next film, and they didn't. We've never really seen Dumbledore in action or fighting until this movie, and I'm so sad that in the 4th movie, and a little bit in this movie, he seems so angry and stressed and aggressive. I wish so badly that he would have showed up, and we would have been like, I don't know, we've never seen him do this before, and then he like cements himself as like a badass, but we don't. This movie is a good mixture of good and bad, because the things that I like, I love, and the things I don't like, I really don't like. This is a necessary stop in our 8 movie journey, but it's not very fun to revisit, so that's why it's ranked where it is. I feel like I've been talking about all of these movies for a very long time, and that some of it may be getting a little bit boring, a little bit bland, and it's time to spice it up with something a little bit different, talk about something different, have a different vibe of the video. We are gonna have a brief intermission. So let's do that. Accio intermission. Welcome to a brief intermission. I've been talking about Harry Potter for like, I think it's only been like 40 minutes. But you know what? What is something related to Harry Potter? Something that I think would be relevant to talk about and something fun to do. It's time to get frickin' sorted. Let's just take a little bit of a break, okay? Let's just pour a glass of wine. Can you see the cork that is floating in there? I'm not like a prestigious wine drinker, but I bought this wine and I didn't know that there was a cork in there. And so then I like don't have a wine opener. Like, who has a freaking wine opener? So then I just got a spoon and like a knife and like jammed it down. Who's ready to get sorted? So the last time I took the Harry Potter test, I think it was like 2016, maybe. The last time I took this test, I was sorted into Gryffindor. I was very happy about this news because I think it's very Gryffindor of me to think all the other houses are irrelevant and stupid. Ravenclaw is irrelevant and they do nothing throughout the entire series. Nobody even knows what Hufflepuff, like, their traits are. Aren't they like nice? I think that Slytherin is like the evil house, and so I remember when I was a kid I was like, I can't be in Slytherin because they're evil. But now on the sort of opposite side, now being an adult, I realize that like I wouldn't want to be in Slytherin only because of the other adults that are in Slytherin and they're like in their 30s and they're like, I'm a Slytherin. Girl, we've got a board meeting. This isn't time to dick around. Whenever someone's in Hufflepuff, you will see them like rewrite history and pretend that they matter. Congratulations, Hufflepuff. You have Susan Bones as your spokesperson for your house. I'm so happy for you. Like everybody else is like having fun in their classes and having a good time. And then I'm like the jock that's like, well, you're stupid. And everyone's like, okay. Like I'm trying to go to herbology. So I'm excited to take this test and I'm excited to see where I belong. While I was watching these movies, I never like identified with one of the houses, and I think it's because it's been so long. I feel like I need to take it again and I'm excited to do it. So let's friggin' do it. This wine tastes like shit. It says that it's medium sweet. It is simply not. You type in, which Harry Potter house is the worst? 15 reasons why Hufflepuff is the worst house. Do you think that J.K. Rowling is just asking for like random details from me to like see if I'm trans or not? We are now on the Wizarding World website, which has awful web design, by the way. Start the sorting ceremony. Oh yeah, I forgot these questions are dumb. Dawn or dusk? My first thought was dusk, but then I think that they're gonna make me think I'm evil. Let's do dusk. What kind of instrument most pleases your ear? The piano, the drum, the violin, the trumpet. Definitely not that fucking trumpet. Which of the following do you find the most difficult to deal with? Loneliness, boredom, hunger, being ignored, or cold? These questions are boring as hell. You are attending Hogwarts. Which pet would you choose to take with you? There's a cat here. There's like is this an iguana? What is that? Well, here's the thing. For practicality, I feel like it would be cool to have an owl for like wizard messaging reasons, but also screw the frickin' owl. I'll go with a tabby cat because he's kind of chubby and I think he's really, really cute. Now we're saying heads or tails. I've always been a picker of heads. Oh no! Wait! I'm so scared. Alright, we're gonna pray that I got something not shit. Dear God, I pray that I get a house that isn't shit. You probably know that some of Hufflepuff's most renowned members include... Did you know that Hufflepuff's house ghost, the Fat Friar... Okay, fat phobia here on the Pottermore. Hufflepuff has produced the fewest dark wizards. Well, I guess we're about to get another one, because what the hell is happening right now? Here's the thing, right? I don't question the Sorting Hat's authority, but I don't think that I'm a Hufflepuff. This took me out of left field. I've hated Hufflepuffs for years. They are irrelevant and stupid, and the idea that I would even be considered to be put in a Hufflepuff is quite honestly embarrassing and just not quite right. I am going to do another test from a third-party site and see what we get, because this is just not right. I know that Pottermore is the official site, but honestly, since when have we trusted J.K. Rowling with like information like that? So I'm just gonna try somebody different. Which of these Dumbledore quotes speaks to you? Pity the living. Not Dumbledore's suicide quote. It matters not what you do, but what you do with what you've done for others. Which of these magical events would you most like to experience? Well, this was a traumatizing movie, this was boring, and this was like one of the worst 25 minutes of my entire life. Well. It looks like BuzzFeed says that I'm 46% Gryffindor, 20% Ravenclaw, 20% Slytherin, and 14% Hufflepuff. I'm gonna do this quiz from Brainfall to see what they have to say about all this. What? This is absolutely sick and twisted. All around me are familiar faces. You are reserved, rational, and down to earth. Here's the thing, I am a little bit reserved, I am very rational, but I am not down to earth. The only upsides to being in Hufflepuff would probably be the fact that, like, it does create some opportunities to, like, slit Susan Bones' throat in the night. Reach out to a Hufflepuff in your life. I know the whole point of this was to find out, like, what am I? No. Maybe we should do the Patronus quiz. I don't think I've ever done this before, but I'm excited to see. You can only discover your Patronus once. The questions are timed. So wait, I'm taking a timed exam over here? Please don't put me with a stupid animal. Okay, let's do it. Shine. Did I do that right? I'm getting nervous. Warm for sure. People who pick cold are sick in the head, I'll say that much. I really feel like I'm at Hogwarts right now. I don't know. I'm a fox! Do we look the same? I just thought of something. If the morale for the rest of this video is very low and it seems like there's no light in my eyes, it's because I'm a Hufflepuff now. I just want you all to know that I'm a proud Hufflepuff and that my soul is a fox. I feel like we've been intermissioning for way too long now, and it's time to get back to the rest of our ranking, okay? We're getting into the top 4, which means for the most part, I love all of these movies, and I'm very excited for you to see the rest of my ranking, so let's get into it. Let's see how this works out. It's kind of awkward because I have like a zit right there. Like if you saw me on the street, would you be like, oh my gosh, it's Harry Potter? Or just like a meth addict? The Half-Blood Prince is really interesting because even though it's ranked relatively high on my list, I still look back and I'm like, did I even freaking like this movie? But this movie feels the most tame out of all of them, which honestly, I love. What I had remembered about this film was that it cemented Ginny as a love interest, but also as like a main character again. But revisiting this film, that does not happen. She was in the first one for like a scene, and then even though she was like the main driving force of the plot in the second one, she was barely in it and she only spoke a few times. But from then on, she's just pushed into the background where we just see her occasionally and like maybe she'll say a word. Part of me thinks that maybe they had casted her when she was like 8 years old for the first movie, and then as they realized she was going to be needed for the rest of the films, they realized that she wasn't that strong of an actress. So instead of like putting all their energy into like getting her into classes and like really building her skill, they just pushed her into the background, which I think is unfair. But honestly, I do have to say, she gives like awful performances in all of these movies. This girl is in 8 movies, so I'm gonna try to think of one character trait that she has. I think that she's definitely horny. I'd say the only like real characterization we get of her is her like fangirling over Harry, which is like cute on paper, but I just feel like it doesn't really develop well like 8 movies later when it's still happening. A big focus of this film is the romantic subplots, which I didn't remember much about, and I think it's because when I was a kid I just didn't really freaking care. But there is like so much happening here with Lavender Brown falling in love with Ron, and then their romantic plot for half the film, and then Hermione secretly being in love with Ron, which we've never heard about until now. And then in the last half, Ron and Hermione finally get together, and then Harry and Ginny finally get together. And even though it feels like a lot, and even though I know a lot of people don't like the sort of romantic energy of these films, I really freaking love it. One of my favorite scenes in the entire freaking film is this scene where there's the Quidditch tryouts, and there's some weird jock character on Gryffindor, and he's like randomly in love with Hermione for no reason, and he tells Ron this, or he tells somebody this, I don't freaking remember. And then during the Quidditch tryouts, she's like bewitching his broom so he does bad in the tryouts to help Ron out. Like, I think that that is so subtle, and it's so perfect that despite the fact that these characters have never been in love and we don't understand why they would be in love at all, I was fully on board in that moment. I'm a Hermione stan. Is that what they're called? Ron Mione. Or would it be like Han? A criticism of the Goblet of Fire and the Order of the Phoenix is that they're very devoid of Ron, Hermione, and Harry content. For the most part, they're shown a lot, but they're not really central to the plot, and it doesn't really feel like they're involved at all. In the Goblet of Fire, they completely disappear for the last hour. In the Order of the Phoenix, they are there, but they don't really have much stake in the plot, and they do go to the end battle, which I liked, but for the most part, they're still pretty absent. Even though this contradicts literally everything I just said, here's the thing. They don't go with Harry on that last journey with Dumbledore to get the Horcruxes, but honestly, I can't imagine a world where they would have gone. I felt like hunting down the Horcruxes with Dumbledore was extremely personal to Harry, especially extremely personal since we find out later that he is a Horcrux, and also since that is an event that fully led to Dumbledore's death. At least in this one, we have like a few scenes of them like processing Dumbledore's death and like getting ready for the final battle. For the first time in this entire series, we give Draco something to do. In the first movie or two, it made sense for him to just be like a stupid bully that was making fun of our characters and causing drama. But then in those middle movies, he has nothing to do, so he just resorts to being like a teacher's pet who strives to get Harry in trouble. But in this one, he's doing the absolute most. He's out here trying to kill Dumbledore. He's trying to sneak people into the castle. I liked how his entire plot was leading up to him killing Dumbledore, and then in the final moments, he just doesn't have the strength to do it. Even though he's in with the Death Eaters and this is a plan that he's a part of, he's still a student and he's still seen and loved and admired Dumbledore. I feel like that was humanizing at least, and I liked to see it. For the first time, the Harry-Draco rivalry felt more organic and more real with actual stakes as opposed to just like school kids like screaming at each other. Something I did not remember about this movie is that like scary like wolf man. Every time they showed this wolf man, I don't know why, but literally I was like, I got like nervous. Like I could feel like my pores opening and like my skin starting to sweat. His design with his like weird nose and beady eyes and like hair, I don't know why I was so scared.
It was scary. It was scary. It was really scary.
He was a big scary wolf man, and so I was scared of him because he was scary and a wolf man and big. This movie is not perfect, and there are a few things that I want to criticize. One of those things is a glaring issue, which is Daniel Radcliffe's performance. I'm pretty sure at some point he had confirmed that he was like abusing alcohol during this movie, so he thought his performance was very wooden, and I agreed. In a lot of the scenes, he feels like he's kind of out of it, and it feels like he's not really focusing on the character or really doing the best that he could do. Because honestly, one of my favorite things through all of these films is watching as each movie progresses and seeing the characters get better. And I felt like Daniel Radcliffe had a lot of upward momentum. Each movie felt like he was tackling something else and getting better at other things. And this was the first one where you're like, oh, he's not doing that great of a job. Like, this girl is fully getting possessed and flinging through the air, and he's just staring. And I understand that, like, the substance abuse played into that, and it's very sad, but it is an issue of the film. Something else I always thought was weird about this movie is the lighting, which is, like, piss yellow for some reason. And there's, like, no color. All the characters' skin is like white and gray. Even like the brighter colors, like on their red uniforms, are very muted. One of the saddest things for me was that this is the last film that takes place at Hogwarts, like during the school year. So in a way, This was our last chance to see the bridge in action, and we don't see the bridge in action. The only time we see the bridge in this movie is when Dumbledore has been slain and Harry runs out to like confront Snape, Draco, Bellatrix, and maybe the wolf was there too. And you just see it like grainy in the background. I was really sad about that. A big criticism that I've had of all of these films is that Dumbledore is done very dirty by the writing and the plot. But I love Dumbledore in this movie. For the first time in what feels like ages, he's very low key, he's chill. I feel like if there's any movie that Dumbledore should be stressed in, it's this one. I swear there were scenes where he just had like a cocktail and a blunt and he was just like sitting and he was just like, yeah, they're gonna try to kill me because they're jealous. If you watch all of these films back to back, you'll notice how much Dumbledore changes. And in this one, it's like finally a return to form and I was so happy. I will now be playing my role as Dumbledore in that final battle when he was drinking that liquid and slowly dying. No, I hate this drink. The fact that that old man was about to drop like a sack of spuds, but still spent his final moments protecting Harry and assuring him that everything would be okay. It was so heartwarming that I like did cry. I had a lot of fun watching this. I had a lot of fun revisiting this, and I think it's just because I had forgotten so much, so I was happy about it. Did that look real? Sorcerer's Stone slaps. When it comes to the Sorcerer's Stone, I feel like I have the least to say out of all of these films, which is a little bit upsetting, especially because it's ranked so high. I've seen this one like a dozen times, so when I was going back to rewatch it, I was thinking that it may not have aged very well and that like I was just gonna be tired and I was just gonna sort of like slowly like get my way through it, but I was freaking wrong. This one, I'd say out of all of the entire series, is the most endearing. From the start, it is just one of the best films of all time. On paper, the child actors are flopping and doing awful, but still, even when they're like mouthing each other's lines or they're saying things that are clearly being fed to them by like producers off camera, it is so good. In my notes, I literally wrote, what is Emma Watson doing? Because she is struggling here, and I feel like part of it is just bad writing, but honestly, in this one in particular, she's so weird. I had mentioned earlier that I hate how much her character changes in these early films, but here, she's like weirdly sassy and mean, but like in a funny comedic way, not like an annoying Goblet of Fire way. And I like how like Harry and Ron save her in that one scene, and then like from that point on, you can see that they're a lot closer and just trust each other. I love the colors in this movie. It is just so bright and colorful. I love the world building here, and it sets up a lot without like trying to do too much. That's something I had mentioned about the Chamber of Secrets, that I liked how that one expanded the world that this one set up, and I felt like if this one was trying to do all of that, it would have failed. Susan Bones is in this one. Something that I noticed upon watching it this time is the fact that the plot is freaking weird. Still to this day, I could not tell you what the Sorcerer's Stone does. I could not tell you what Quirrell's plan is, and I could not tell you who Nicholas Flamel is. Some of the plot here is like kind of confusing and weird, and I think I'm just saying that as like a stupid American. I think the only word that I can use to describe this film is just rich. It just feels very rich. There's just so much heart, and it feels like the people who made this film, and it feels like the actors on the screen are just pouring out like everything they have to the film, which admittedly at times isn't much, but they're still pouring. That's why I don't like the Chamber of Secrets, because it feels like that movie was trying to replicate the success here and the character here, but it feels like it missed the mark a little bit, which is why I had some issues with the tone and issues with the plot, and it felt a little bit short-sighted. So that's how I feel about that. I can't imagine having a bad time while watching this. I really can't. If you have a bad time while watching this, leave a comment down below. But honestly, this film and the next two I'm going to talk about are all 10 out of 10. I don't have anything really to criticize. I love them all, and it just comes down to personal preference. Damn, I got through all that quick. All right, moving on. It appears that my scar got messed up at some point when I made that coffee. I feel like for these last two movies in particular, all I'm gonna say is that like they're good, and I think that's because I'm not that great of a reviewer and I'm only good at like shitting on stuff, but like it was just good. I feel like we all know that this film is all around epic and just an incredible finale to this series. Honestly, I think I freaking forgot. This film, I think, is like the definition of how to end a large series like this. The writing is like perfect. I feel like there's not just endless battle. There's a good mixture of like calm moments where our characters sort of regroup. There's moments where pairs of characters will go off and do side quests and sort of meet up and then figure things out from there. Ginny is like really out here doing nothing. I swear she's in one scene and she's like not emoting, and then like we're supposed to like care about her, and I was like, well, I don't really care about her that much, but she was in the movie. If there's anything that Bonnie Wright can put on her resume, it's definitely like, I was in it. Something that I did not remember about this film, and something that completely took me off guard, was the fact that the bridge gets blown up. The literal gasp that left my throat. I like literally can't. I have never like been so upset about like a bunch of wood falling to the ground.
This is my boy! My boy!
So yes, in this film, there is a scene where frickin' Neville and Seamus and Ginny are like on the bridge, and then that like punk rock wizard Death Eater is like coming to murder them, and they all start running across the bridge, and then they blow it up with magic, and then the bridge falls and dies. If you're wondering why I've not talked about Neville at all, it's because he was the killer of the bridge. Literally 10 minutes after the bridge gets blown up, Snape is murdered, and I don't even freaking care because I'm still drying my eyes from the death of the bridge. It is unknown if the bridge was rebuilt or not after the battle concluded. In part one, the big issue I had was the fact that destroying the Horcruxes was very anticlimactic and boring. But in this one, I think it's a lot more exciting since there is an actual battle going on in the background. In theory, our trio isn't really doing anything. They're just running around trying to destroy the Horcruxes before it's too late. But because it's all happening during a battle when everything is high stakes, I care a lot more. And after 4 long movies, Voldemort's acrylic toenails are back. What the fuck is that? Ew, what is that? Is that a meatball? A big question that comes with this movie that a lot of people like to debate over is whether or not Snape is a good guy or a bad guy. I'm gonna say my thoughts, which is, I just don't give a fuck about any of it. I really don't. I've never cared at all about Snape's backstory. I've never thought that he was that interesting of a character. I don't want to say that because the people get mad, but you know what? I think he's an interesting character. I feel like I'm fascinated to know more, but we don't know more. All we know is that he was like maybe bullied and maybe sad. He loved a woman that didn't love him back. And then as a response to that, he abused all the children. I don't know. I really don't. I've always felt like the purpose of his character was that like he was flawed. I don't think it's good writing to have a character like completely change their entire motive and character. It's just bad characterization. Like I don't know why people are just like out here fighting. And the only reason people are debating is because they literally don't know, because he keeps changing like every single movie. I don't think that Harry should have named his son after him. That's kind of weird and giving him a bit too much credit, but it's fine. I don't really care. I feel like people hate on the 19 years later ending because it feels a little bit cheap. And I disagree with that. Do I disagree with that? I think I disagree with that. I feel like it serves its purpose. I can understand that it's a little bit like tacked on and maybe feels like a stupid conclusion, but I feel like I like the way that it sets up that like Hogwarts will always continue on. I like how it ends the same way it starts, with a group of characters going off to experience their own adventures. I was shocked that this film was under 2 hours long. I feel like they easily could have added another like 10 to 20 minutes just to flesh everything out at the end. If we would have just gotten a few scenes where everyone just sort of like recaps everything that happened, the people that are alive and the people that are dead. We never really hear about where our main trio end up after the battle. We just sort of see them like recoup for a second second on that like stone bridge, but it ends kind of abruptly with our characters talking about like, well, what's gonna happen now? And then you're like, yeah, what is gonna happen? And then it just cuts to 19 years later and we never know what happened. We don't know if they rebuilt Hogwarts. We don't know if they ended up going back to finish their schooling. We don't know what kind of jobs they have. We don't know any of that. I know that there's all this like extended lore about like what these characters end up doing in their jobs and like who went back to finish schooling and stuff. Like, I want to know what happened to freaking Voldemort's followers. Is that freaking Wolfman still alive? Did he die? I think he died on screen. He had to have, because I remember being excited about something. Infamous for his general savagery and preference for attacking children, it is unclear whether Greyback survived the Battle of Hogwarts. Wade, no, he's alive. Not dealing with that. Overall, this is a very strong movie that puts a beautiful bow on such an incredible franchise. I think it serves its purpose as the final film, and I just had an amazing time going back and watching it. It was really an experience to be had. Before we get into my number one film, it's time to really update this scar, because this is just embarrassing. Oh no, there's like no ink in this expo. Oh. I guess there is ink in this expo. Let's do it over here instead. It looks like I got mauled by a bear. Without further ado, it's time. My number one Harry Potter film. Alfonso Cuarón put his entire Alfonso curacy into this movie, y'all. This film is incredibly well made. Everything about this film is like the definition of freaking art, okay? And I stand by that. The biggest issue I had with The Goblet of Fire was the fact that Mike Newell was a big flop who knew nothing about the series and clearly was just like in over his head and inexperienced, and therefore the movie sort of was a mess. Whereas Alfonso Cuarón is the definition of artist, somebody who understands film and understands what fans of this series would want.
How overwhelming was it to take on this project? Were you a little scared, a little nervous?
I love the material so much, and I'm so irresponsible that then it was, I just went for it.
Were you a little freaked out?
No.
Okay, very last question. I know you're not doing Goblet of Fire, but your biggest piece of advice for Mike Newell?
Well, pretty much it was the same thing. Is pace yourself, man.
No.
This is the first film that is not directed by Chris Columbus, and so you would expect there to be a shift or a little bit of a stumble in the style or the way that these movies are going to start being made, but never for a second does it feel that way. Every single aspect comes together in a way that feels almost impossible. The characters are so well realized, their relationships with each other feels very authentic. The cinematography in here is literally unmatched. We're going through mirrors, we're flying through like that bell thing, but I just want to highlight the fact that this is incredibly well made. It's not just a good Harry Potter movie, it's just a good movie. Some of the later directors feel like they're chosen just to get the job done with no style. It feels like certain things are mandated by the studio and there's a lot of guiding forces deciding what happens, and there's not a lot of artists being brought in to make these movies. I remember being a kid and being like terrified of Sirius Black, and whenever they would show that like poster of him like laughing and screaming, I was terrified. Despite the fact that in the first and second one, the plot is pretty intense, I feel like here it feels a little bit more real world. And instead of trying to like revive some magical being, it's literally just some like crazy serial killer trying to break into Hogwarts and like kill our characters. It feels very real world and it feels like higher stakes because it's almost less predictable. One of my favorite things in all the Harry Potter films is the passing seasons. This is something that's notable in all the films, but I would say in this one in particular, we actually have like passing shots of Hogwarts with the seasons changing. We'll see snowfall or we'll see the snow melting and flowers bloom, but all in like a magical way. Every single time a season would come and go, I could like mentally be like, okay, so it's been a little while since the last scary thing that happened, just so it doesn't like overload you. This film was the origin of the bridge. She looked so pure, so beautiful. She had no idea that she was 5 movies away from death.
I'm sorry, don't leave me, I want you here.
One of the best scenes, acting-wise, writing-wise, aesthetic-wise, is the Shrieking Shack scene at the end of the film. This scene had twists, this scene had reveals, this scene had like violence, In Rats, I remember being like 10 years old, and when Sirius is revealed in the book to like be in the Shrieking Shack, I remember being so scared, and I was like, oh my gosh, he's gonna get them. This is so scary. I love how Snape runs into this scene, like prepared to like yell at Harry and the gang, but then once he sees Sirius Black, he immediately goes to protect them. I am a sucker for time travel in any story ever. I really am. If you don't think about the logistics of the time travel, it works really well. I don't think about it, so I don't really care that much, but I really liked it, and it made sense to me, I think. I am pretty sure. I love Lupin. He is such a great character. A lot of times the professors for the Defense Against the Dark Arts are like caricatures or like comedic relief or like villains. I loved just having a character who was like an ex-best friend of Harry's father who was like giving him advice. He's probably one of my favorite characters in the entire series, and I'm pretty sure doesn't he die in the end? I feel like I should know who dies and who doesn't. I think that he died. He's definitely dead. Oh no, he died, because I remember the people are very upset. Lupin, played in the films by David Thewlis, was murdered. Okay. So yeah, he was murdered. But I love Lupin a lot. I think that he's a really interesting character. I like his sort of secret werewolf-ism. I've said time and time and time again that my favorite moments are character moments, and we have a plethora of those in this movie. We have scenes of our characters like messing around in the common room. We have a scene where Harry is in his invisibility cloak after he sneaks into Hogsmeade and he like messes with Draco and the bullies, and then like he just sits and laughs with his friends. Out of all the films in this entire series, I think this one gets the characters like spot on. They bounce off each other very well. It actually feels like they're friends. In some of the films, it does not feel like they're friends. It feels like they are like hating each other and they are annoyed by each other. So I was really happy that in this one, they were like sticking by each other's side. I've criticized Dumbledore's character a little bit, and I feel like people might see that and say like, well, he was recasted, so like that's why there's a character shift, just because it's a different actor's portrayal. But that's not true. This is the first appearance of Michael Gambon as Dumbledore, and he is the same as Richard Harris had done it. It's incredibly understated. It's very low key. And literally at the end of the film, he's like so nonchalantly telling Hermione like how many turns she needs to do the time turner to like go back to the right point of the night. I think this is a perfect Harry Potter film. This is exactly what I want to see. And I'm very sad that we didn't keep Alfonso for the entire series. I think he could have done justice for all of those flop movies, but ultimately I understand why he didn't do any more. I love everything about Prisoner of Azkaban. That's why it's number one. I don't freaking have anything else to say about it. Here is my official ranking of all 8 films. I'd love to hear your rankings and whether or not you agree with me, but if you don't agree with me, I hope you know I don't care. So I guess that's it for my Harry Potter ranking. What am I supposed to do now? Before I close this video out, I have a few things that I want to say to sort of talk about my overall experience going back and revisiting these films. When I had started this video, it was going to be a very low-key take on the Harry Potter series. I was going to be making jokes about some of the stupid stuff. I was going to be poking holes at inconsistencies. My goal of sort of making fun of this series and making like turf jokes every chance I got slowly shifted into me re-falling in love with the Harry Potter series. I don't know if I really harped on it enough at the beginning, but I had basically turned my back on the Harry Potter series. Whenever I would see people in my life like being fans of the Harry Potter series, I would almost give like a dismissive eye and would accuse them mentally of like disregarding transphobia or like still supporting someone who's problematic. As I had started watching them and as I started taking notes and I started to sort of re-enter this world, I realized more and more that I do love this series. I'd say over the last year or two, I've really been struggling with like growing up. I'm 21 years old now, and so the idea of leaving behind my high school years and soon to be college years, it's a little bit scary. I feel like I can't really enjoy the things that I used to enjoy. I feel like I have to sort of grow up, and I can't focus on these things I did when I was a kid because I'm an adult now. Reintroducing this series has sort of encouraged me to find the magic in my life again, which I notice now is something that I was sort of letting go of. So despite anything that J.K. Rowling may have said and anything that we may believe about her, I do understand now why people gravitate towards this series and why it's so important to so many people. As a whole, this series has really just opened my eyes to the type of person I want to be and how I want to approach my life as an adult. But at the end of the day, I have decided that even though I am aging into adulthood and even though it's been a tough transition, I still want to believe in magic. And I'm going to try my hardest to always look for the magic in every situation and never let go of my childhood. You might be wondering, like, after such a long video, is there anything left for you to say? And honestly, no. I've been working on this video for literally like 3 months. Expecto, watch all the ads. Thanks for watching. Bye.